On the Lebanese front, Israel is finally encountering real resistance. And what I mean by that is that Hezbollah are using fiber optic drones, which is not a very new, well, which is a quite a recent technology, first seen in the war in Ukraine. And Israeli media, I'm quoting here, Israeli media is reporting that Hezbollah has found a strategic advantage in using new generation drones. Sorry, all Israeli news shows and commentary are talking about is that the country's military is caught in a war of attrition that is bogged down and that its troops are sitting ducks for Hezbollah because of fiber optic drones, sniper fire, and even explosives that have been planted in some of the villages where Israel is operating. The debates are quite heated. This is familiar territory when it comes to Lebanon because Israel occupied Lebanon for 20 years, and that occupation cost a lot of equipment and a lot of soldiers were injured. The fear is that with this new action could turn into a repeat of the last occupation if Israeli troops don't withdraw, or if Israel doesn't escalate and break the ceasefire altogether. That is the reporting coming from Al Jazeera from just a few hours ago. So internally in Israel, there is a freak out, not only in the media, must I say, but also actually amongst the military radios in Israel, and coming from the highest officials of the military, basically in a panic because of fiber optic drones. And if you don't know what a fiber optic drone is, it's basically a drone that has a tiny little wire attached to it that can fly for up to 50 kilometers without needing any wireless signal. That means that you cannot jam them, making them immune to modern jamming systems. And they are so small that you cannot detect them on any radar, because if you were to calibrate your radar system in order to detect these drones, you would also be picking up everything else that is that size, including birds, tree branches, and whatever else moves in the sky. So they're really in a pickle here for the first time in a while, I would say. I am quite a pessimist, or people call me a pessimist. I like to call myself a realist. So I have very long been saying that all of these anti-imperialist commentators who say that Israel is on the brink of collapse, that Israel is losing the war in Gaza, that Israel is losing the war in Lebanon, that Russia is winning the war in Ukraine. I've always said that I don't believe them, right? From what I see on the ground, Israel always gets what they want. They always advance their military goals. Russia is losing in Ukraine, and I've always had this sort of disagreement, this gap between my understanding of the situation and all of those people who are generally anti-imperialist. However, this is the first time since October 7 that I can with confidence say that Israel is meeting real resistance. They are really suffering in this instance because these drones are incredibly effective. That's why entire villages, entire cities in Ukraine are right now covered in fiber optic wires, in cables, essentially. I don't know if you've seen images of this, but entire towns just covered in what appears to be spider web. But when you look closer, it's just these tiny wires from all the drones that are flying back and forth all day. So yeah, what happened in Lebanon recently? So on April 7th, there was a ceasefire announced between Israel, the U.S., and Iran. Israel immediately violated the ceasefire and said that Lebanon was not included. However, on April 23rd, they did officially announce a 3-week ceasefire with Lebanon. So now, in the last week, in the last 2 weeks, we are in an official ceasefire between Lebanon and Israel. However, since then, Israel keeps attacking and Hezbollah hits back immediately, which is the first time that they're doing that, right? Because in previous ceasefires, the usual pattern is that a ceasefire is announced, Israel continues to bomb Lebanon, continues to take territory in Lebanon, and Hezbollah doesn't fight back because they are respecting the ceasefire. Hezbollah is not falling for that trick this time and are hitting back immediately, and the weapons they're using are these drones. So I know you're gonna want to see some combat footage, so I'm gonna show you that. Thanks to John Elmer from the Electronic Intifada I'm just gonna play his video here. Let me find the timestamp for you, because he has these videos that are very, very clear in their depiction of what's going on, right? So yeah, let's have a listen here, so you can get a visual. So you can get a visual on what these drone operations look like. Sorry, I think I have no audio there. Here we go.
And within an hour or so, the Hezbollah video was published, again showing total command and control, the ability to get the footage and show the footage, publish the footage, all within this small window of time. Shows the capability. You can see the drone there just misses. Nobody was injured by that drone strike.
This is a video that just shows how close the drone was destroying this helicopter. This could have been a mass casualty event for the Israelis. But the next clip he's about to pull up is the one I wanted to show you, so you can see the operation from start to finish.
Though you heard the yow yow that are now pretty common, especially from the Iran war, when we hear Israelis reacting to incoming missiles. Let's take a look at the footage from the Hezbollah video here.
So this is what it looks like, right? You have this little drone that has a visual feed that goes through the fiber optic cable all the way back to the person controlling the drone. And with this, you can essentially guide this cheap drone into any target with an explosive. A lot of times they are essentially screwing off the tops of Shahid, sorry, not Shahid drones, off of anti-tank rocket launchers, and just putting them onto these drones, and essentially, delivering very slowly the explosive directly for direct hits onto their targets. And you're about to see one of these operations here.
So we're watching again, quadcopter drone. You're going to recognize this from the previous month or so of reporting. You can see their blades on the side. You can see them traveling through South Lebanon, identifying a tank here that is stuck and has personnel standing around the tank. I've edited the...
Yeah, so you can see here, I mean, I don't want to repeat what John is saying, but 3-4 soldiers right in front of the tank. So this hit here is about to destroy a tank, plus cause 4 casualties, right? So it's quite intense.
End of this video, maybe tomorrow I can throw up my X account that has the full view, but you can see there we've edited out the strike, that you can watch the full operation. It's the same frames. I just blurred the soldiers to meet YouTube's community guidelines.
6 soldiers there in that frame that get hit with this drone attack, and these drones cost a few $100s to make, right? And the explosives on top of the drone is also only a few $100s. And again, it's very deadly, because all across South Lebanon during this ceasefire, you have presence of military vehicles, you have presence of Israeli battalions like we see here. And these drones, very cheap, very easy to get up into the sky, very easy to operate. You don't need a lot of advanced training, are able to come directly, to these battalions, to these groups of soldiers, without being detected, essentially invisible to military gear because they're so small, and deliver with very, very precise targeting, because you slowly fly it into the exact point where you want to deliver it. And they're able to cause a lot of casualties. There's one more part of this video I want to show you, just to give you some context on how they look like, so you have a visual in your when discussing this.
Here we have FPV strike. First time they've shown us the build.
So that's what it looks like, right? Tiny drone there.
From the side there, you could see it. These builds are smart builds. I talked about them a couple of shows back. Smart, clean, cheap assembly, easy to assemble, resilient supply chain. This drone is going to hunt down this excavator that's actively demolishing houses.
Yeah. Again, if you watch the full John Elmer clip, he'll basically repeat what I'm saying, but I do want to highlight this excavator that is being targeted by the drone by Hezbollah is just another piece of evidence into the genocidal war crimes committed by Israel. They are there in South Lebanon in order to demolish homes and claim territory for Israel. This is what they do. They are doing ethnic cleansing. This is textbooks ethnic cleansing. There's no other word for this. We're going to see a clip later on of how they demolish entire towns with massive explosions, with demolitions. But yeah, this is just to show you the drone and how they operate.
Right now, and deliver it more precisely than any other ammunition that you could find directly into the cockpit of that excavator. And now we know from Israeli crews that they have soldiers around them protecting these guys excavating, and an excavator operator was killed this week. I'll get to that when we get up to that video. But the Israeli soldiers in Haaretz said that the part of this plan in South Lebanon is a polygon is marked out for each of the units of the area, showing.
Sorry, I will continue the clip in a second, but just have a look at that drone, right? So you can see the size of it. You have the 4 wings there. Let me zoom in a bit for you guys, so you can see what I'm talking about. You have the 4 propellers there that keep the drone in the air, airborne, and right beneath it, if you see between the cinder blocks, there is like that little cylinder with a little hole coming out of there, and that is where the wire sits. So it's a super thin wire that can stretch to 50 kilometers, held within that little space, which allows the drone to maneuver without needing any wireless technology, so it can't be jammed. And on top of there's a tiny explosive load, which is enough to penetrate the tank or cause serious damage to a platoon of Israeli soldiers.
The section that they're responsible for raising. At the end of every day, there's an assessment of what was accomplished, and every commander is required to report on how many homes he destroyed. Each unit is assigned a number of bulldozers operated and excavators operated by civilian contractors that the military is required to protect.
I don't know if you understood what he said there, but again, highlighting the point, John Elmer is reporting directly from the internal memos of the Israeli military. They are bragging that they have missions for each platoon of soldiers to destroy a certain amount of houses per day. So there is a quota being given to the Israeli military internally, where the official mission of the Israeli soldiers is to go out and destroy a certain amount of houses every single day, and if you don't destroy that many houses, you get held accountable, right? So this is the primary objective of the Israeli military, and the response to that by the Hezbollah resistance is to use these fiber-optic drones that Israel is unable to deal with. And look, it's nothing shocking. We saw this in Russia, Ukraine. The Russians were actually the first to start using the fiber optic drones, but Ukraine adopted them soon after. Like if every front line in the world is adopting a certain technology, it must be because it's effective. The only defense you can set up for something like this is to put netting around all of the areas where you need to mobilize and walk around, and that is incredibly difficult, right? In Russia, for example, in Ukraine, both sides have nets covering the entire highway and stretches of road where military vehicles go, because if not, then as soon as they're spotted by the opposing side, they send in one of these fiber optic drones to blow them up. So you need a very different approach to defend yourself once this drone is introduced in warfare. The reason we haven't seen it before is because Gaza is under blockade since 2008, right? So they can't get these cheap drones to come in, so they haven't been able to use them. So Israel has never had to endure this technology from the Palestinian resistance. It's also not useful for Iran, right? Because Iran and Iraq are too far away. You can't fly with a cable over over the Strait of Hormuz and all the way over Syria into Israel and deliver an explosive using one of these drones. For that, the Iranians have the Shahed drones. And the Shahed drones, although they're also hard to detect, they are a bit bigger. You can detect them, and you can jam them, right? Because they're wireless. So they have a different set of electronics and tech. So this is really the first time that Israel has had to encounter this weapon. And just like the Russians and the Ukrainians, they are struggling immensely to deal with it. You cannot defend yourself very easily from these weapons. And that's just to give you that update. So take it from Eurozone, but for the first time in modern history, Israel is really suffering militarily. And the casualty numbers look quite horrific, and it's thrown Israel into an internal panic because they don't know what to do. They're used to having the largest military in the region. They're used to having support from the largest military in the world, going against a population of 2 million, half of which are under the age of 18, who are essentially in an open air prison, who have been under blockade since 2008. That is their usual. That is the usual resistance they find in Gaza, in Palestine. And now they are feeling what it's like to fight against a real enemy that has access to modern warfare and who is in your vicinity, right? Rather than, for example, Iran, which is far away. So this is an actual, real, modern battlefield with real soldiers who have access to real technology, and this is the result.